a vitriol that's coming. There is an anger. It's not a righteous indignation. It's not a call for justice. Because, by the way, let me paint a picture of a distinction that I think is important. And I know we've gone long, but man, I hope that people make it to this point with us. It is righteous for us to desire justice and even to be agents of the Lord who seek justice, right? We are called to do justice, to love mercy, to walk humbly with our God. But God says that vengeance is his, and that he'll repay. I think there's like 2 times in scripture where the Lord tells Israel to get vengeance, right? On a specific people group, to avenge, okay? But everything else that we see in scripture is we see biblical parameters for justice. In fact, the justice it doesn't come from ourselves. Like when we are seeking justice, we are seeking what is in line with the character and the nature of God. So we wouldn't know justice apart from knowing God. Vengeance is different. It has a personal element to it. And God says that is his. It's reserved for him. So that is to say, there's been a personal offense, right? Which is why we teach our kids that, yes, when you sin against a person, you have sinned against that person, but it is a sin against that person because it's first a sin against God.
Yeah.
So there's a personal element involved in vengeance and seeking it. Okay, the Lord will avenge his name. The Lord will avenge his holiness. Those who are in rebellion against God, those who mock God, God will avenge his name, his character, all of this. But we are not called to seek that. We are called to do justice. The difference that people feel, if you look for a second and observe what's happening with Candace Owens, is that you don't feel a call for justice. You see, she wants revenge.
Yeah.
She wants vengeance. And there's a personal component to that she's masquerading as a relationship, a friendship with Charlie Kirk, but it's really not. It's for people who have hurt me, and this is an opportunity. And I'm going to tell you right now, I put Turning Point USA in that category. Turning Point USA is in the category historically of people who hurt her. And that's why she feels no hesitation in coming after them. And I don't care how much you say you love and respect and value Erica Kirk, if you are willing to tear down an organization that her husband built and now she's at the helm of, you don't love, care, and value Erica Kirk. You don't. You can't have both of those things be true at the same time.
Yeah.
Since we're like all talking about timelines and looking into, I don't know, conspiracies and maybe asking questions about people who surrounded Charlie Kirk and what their motives may have been to see him gone. Maybe we should look at other people's timelines and maybe ask questions about what their motives might be for the, collapse of TPUSA. Maybe there's a vendetta there. Maybe there's a desire for vengeance. Maybe there's a wound that never healed. We're just asking questions and we're just talking about the things that we find interesting. This is Culture Proof.
Every single stronghold, we pull them down. Yeah.
Thanks for checking out Culture Proof. I'm Miki.
And I'm Will.
And today we are, I want to say we're investigating Candace Owens's timeline. But we're really not. We're just sharing it and just asking questions. Like, you see how we can just be intellectually honest? Like, we're not investigating Candace Owens. She's not a suspect in the Charlie Kirk assassination. She just is doing very weird stuff online. And we feel like we should speak out and challenge her. And people may wonder, well, why do you feel like you have to do that? Because she made this a question of evangelicalism. She is besmirching Bible-believing Christians left and right. She's attacking evangelical pastors, calling them insincere in the pulpit, and then connecting all of that to like Charlie Kirk's murder.
Yeah.
So I feel like you made that my discussion, and I want in. So anyway, so we're gonna talk a little bit about that. We were talking yesterday on the podcast about just how she has sort of made it a sport to accuse people, kind of circle around accusing people, but never really flat out land, just enough to have like plausible deniability. I didn't say
Yeah.
that. I didn't say that. And it's problematic, the kind of things that she's engaging in. We likened it to the Salem witch trials. And so we want to continue that because there were clips that we didn't get to.
Yeah, there was a few clips we didn't get to. But like you're saying, it's kind of a bouncing around like, oh, I discovered this. And then, then it seems like there's never really a long follow through with whatever that is. And then there's something new, and it's something new. And it's like, man, wait, hold on. And I think people have to take a step back and kind of ask themselves some questions like, okay, but what happened really, with the lady who may have been with Tyler Robinson? Like, what happened? The accomplice. What happened? Like, that stuff just kind of fades away, and nobody says anything else. It's like, oh, okay.
It makes for a good one-time episode. And then you're supposed to forget that you ever heard about it, So like what happened with Caldera and like the pipes and the making of like, the pipes and all of these things and the government entities involved in that.
I mean, am I mistaken? But I kind of remember even a saying of, okay, Tyler Robinson did do it, but just it was a different gun. It's like, and now it's like, no, he didn't do it. And now is Israel. And now we found these 12 cell phone.
Yeah.
Like it seems like it's always something different. And it's like the follow through is very limited.
That's
maybe right. one and a half episode.
Yes.
And then we move on to something new that was found. It's like, wait.
It is like the game of Clue, which we actually love playing with our kids. And so it becomes a suggestion. You guys remember in the game of Clue, if you make an accusation and you're wrong, you're out of the game. But if you make a suggestion and you don't have all the pieces, somebody has to show you something in their hand to prove that your suggestion can't be, because like if you said it's Miss Scarlet with the candlestick in the conservatory, then someone in the game would have to show you that, no, actually in my hand, I have the conservatory, so it's not in the confidential pack, right? And so I feel like that's what we have to keep doing with Candace. It's like we have to keep saying, girl, first of all, stop. And like somebody needs to reveal their hand and say, okay, so it's not Mikey McCoy. I have him here. You know what I mean? And so then, but what Candace doesn't do is come back and say, okay, all right, so it's not Mikey. She just doubles down with some other reason not to like him. There are too many adjectives being used around his name.
And I was like,
why does that matter?
Why does that matter? People are describing him. It just sounds like they have a high regard for him, but it seems like that's suspicious if everyone's calling him wonderful. And I think he was in position to try to take over. Like, it's like, man, all these things. And it's kind of like, wait, how are you getting that from that? The latest thing that I was seeing was, and what I was showing you, was the old UVU soccer player, like on her.
Yes.
It's like, man, here's a clearer picture, of this guy, and the guy said, "God, this is me." I went to get some food on campus. It's like,
so all of Candace Owens's kids are like 4 and under, okay, I think, or 3 and under, something like that, okay. And so she has not hit the teen years yet. Any parent of a teenager, when you saw that picture, you're like, yeah, teenagers wear hoodies in like 80, 90 degree weather.
Yeah, it's surprising. It's like, whoa, what are you doing?
Like,
but they do that.
They do that. And so for that to be, but what I'm saying is, for that to be the thing that sparked, curiosity, I'm just asking questions. Who's this guy? Who's this guy in the hoodie looking all strange? Well, that's kind of college student dress. Like, strange is like the season of life that they're in, Anyway, we're going to get into it. We've got more clips that we need to get to, because what we're trying to show is just the way that Candace works through accusing people. And again, she can accuse people and without accusing them. So it just plants seeds of doubt. And so what you're then supposed to do is become suspicious of these people, and it's working. It is dividing the body of Christ. People like Mikey McCoy, people like Frank Turek are receiving threats. Seth Dillon also recently, he was on with Frank Turek, noted that somebody was actually arrested. He's married with kids. He's receiving threats because it's like, you killed Radio Raheem. And so like everybody's mounting up and trying to like avenge Charlie Kirk's assassination, and they're looking for the people that Candace Owens is pointing them to. And this is reckless. This is
It
reckless.
really is.
This is hurtful. It's childish. It is so immature. And but it is very sensual. People love it and they're drawn to it. So anyway, we want to show some more of these, like the accusations, like the suggestions, because she's not accusing anyone. And which, by the way, when there is pushback or when someone shows her something in their hand, like, the BB letter, it's like, okay, nope, it's not that. I have that in my hand here. Then it's sort of like, I never accused Israel. So it's like she takes back her suggestion. It's like, but you kind of did, though. Like, you kind of said he was doing the absolute most. And so, like, then when people bring the receipts, it's like, I never said that, but I'm playing what you said, but I never said that. And then she says, but I'm the honest one, the one you can trust. I don't lie. I can't stand liars. I wouldn't lie. And I feel, and I'm going to tell you something else. And then, a person who constantly has to say, I don't lie, I'm not a liar, I'm suspicious of you.
Right.
Because people who don't lie and are not liars don't have to keep saying that. It's like the person who keeps saying, I'm the boss. It's like, are you the boss? Like, why do you have to keep saying, like, it's like the insecure person. It's like, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. There's a reason that people keep saying that. And so I just think that there's a reason that Candace Owens keeps saying that she's not a liar. I don't lie. And it's like she's working overtime to get us to trust her to the extent that, like, we believe everything she says. And even if she's slightly off, then we're generous because, Candace will not lie to us. She will not fail us. Everybody else will fail, people around Charlie Kirk. And by the way, man, in another episode that we have coming up, we're going to show how she consistently misrepresents Charlie Kirk, even his legacy and who we knew him to be, those of us who observed him publicly, to exploit not only his memory, right? To gaslight us into believing that he was not the person we thought he was. So think about this. She says of Charlie Kirk that he was a type of Truman in the Truman Show. He was the only real person.
Right.
But also the character Truman was also sort of like, there was something that, as Jim Carrey portrayed this character, there was something that was a little bit buffoonish about him. Like he was like, he's got the soap and he's drawing the helmet, the astronaut helmet. So there's something that was a little bit like kind of off.
Right.
So either we believe that Charlie Kirk was a genius, that he was a brilliant man, that he was a strategic man, that he surrounded himself with people who would be able to help him achieve this call, this mission that he had, or he was Jim Carrey in the Truman Show, who stared at himself in a mirror and said, if I don't get out of this, if I don't make it out of this alive, I want you to eat me. Do you hear me? Do it. You eat. Like, so there's a little bit of a conflict there. But again, Candace Owens doesn't want you to notice that. She doesn't want you to notice that those two things can't be true at the same time. So when it serves her narrative that he was an innocent victim surrounded by all of these vultures, which she has not directly come out and said, but she is sideways saying, it includes Erica Kirk, by the way. I just need you to know, because if you say that he was the only true man in his life, then you are saying that
true. Right.
Everybody else was a lie, was a hired hand. And again, guys, these are the kinds of connections that she gets right up to making, but she just lets you go there and kind of like, I didn't say it.
Right.
It's like I led you to this and you just naturally felt that, right? That, first of all, that's cowardice, second of all, it's entertainment. But it's not to be taken seriously. So I want to say a huge thank you to the premier sponsors of the Culture Proof podcast. That's BJU Press Homeschool. They make it possible for us to educate and equip our kids at home. We do not want them to be lulled by this world. We don't want them to be drawn astray from truth by this world and everything that is being pushed out into this culture. And the best way for us to do that is to educate them at home. And I will say this again. We have been educating our kids at home for over a decade now. And it's not because of bees. It's not because of Caldera. It's not because of like school shootings. It is because we want to have the lion's share of time in our kids' lives. And so as people are investigating what's going on in the culture and how they need to respond, let me say this: secure your mask first, but then secure the mask of the person directly next to you, right? That's just like good, airline protocol, but it's also good for discipleship.
Yeah.
Know what you believe, and then also make sure that those right next to you also know what they believe and why they believe it. And I think that home discipleship, home education is the best way to accomplish that. If that's your conviction, then you need to check out our friends at bjupresshomeschool.com. That's bjupresshomeschool.com/culture-proof. When you follow that link, it'll be your way of letting them know that the Addisons sent you, and we proudly and loudly send you to our friends over at bjupresshomeschool.com. Okay, Will the Great.
Yes.
So we didn't finish our clips from yesterday. We had so
Right.
many of them. But the other thing that I wanted to do today, so help me with this, because I just get started talking. I know not only do you know that, but everybody else knows that. But I want to move through these clips because there's so much other stuff that we have to stay on top of as we push back. And I want to be very clear about this, right? Since Candace Owens is always clear about her objectives, I want to be clear about what our objectives are. We want to publicly and consistently push back against the deception and the rewiring of Christians that's coming from Candace Owens.
Yeah, definitely.
She is heavily influencing Christians. People are asking her questions about spiritual matters, and she is unqualified to respond to that. But the reason they are asking her those questions is because she is feeding them some other content that they find nourishing to their soul.
Yes. And she's weaving, the theology in it. Not only her, I see Tucker Carlson doing the same type of thing.
Yes.
Where they're weaving in theological things, to the topics that they're speaking on. And my thing is, because we've talked about this, there have been some people who have questioned their own faith and say, man, I'm looking at Catholicism now.
Yes.
Because of what you're saying about these evangelical pastors and these mega churches and these places. And so, man, we got to take a look at that and say, hold on. When you have somebody come on your program who calls, being a Protestant, to say that it's rooted in Satanism, and you don't push back and you kind of go heavy on the Catholic gang stuff, but you're also saying some things that seem plausible to people, so they're making these connections like maybe she's right about this and about that. Well, I'm here to say that, it could be that she's have some truth about this, but she's wrong about that.
And also
that is the faith.
And also to say where she is wrong and inconsistent in the areas that you value should call into question where she may be wrong and inconsistent in the other areas that you've given her space, because you said, well, she did talk about the guy taking the camera down, which, by the way, let's start with that because that's our next clip. That's the clip that we didn't get to yesterday. Remember, we're talking about the Salem witch trials or the game of Clue, whichever you like, where she's just constantly making these suggestions. Okay. But what happens, again, and want to play it and talk about it, is that she'll come back in future episodes and ask a question of something that she already gave an answer to, but just kind of hopes that we forgot that already came up, that you already said something about that. And I want to show you about, in particular, what she does with the guy who took the camera down. Okay. So this is when she first brought up the camera removal. And to be clear, please, and I have to say this because I know that the things that we leave out or that we don't comment on, it will be assumed that we haven't thought about those things. But let me just say, just because we're not commenting on every angle of the particular clip that we play does not mean that we haven't thought through where, hey, that's a legitimate question, or, hey, that is compromising a crime scene. Those things are true.
Yeah.
But I think that's what the enemy likes to traffic in. It's just enough truth to masquerade as light so that you follow. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna okay, here's truth. Obviously, people know where the truth is. What we want to say and where we want to shine the flashlight on is the lies and the deception. And this just makes good content-ness.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. This is Candace Owens again. making a suggestion. And I think at this point it is Colonel Mustard, but it's with the camera on UVU's campus. Here we go.
Why did you do this? What were you doing up there on the rocks? What's up? Like, this is not the first thing that I would do if I had just witnessed Charlie Kirk being shot. And I'll say this right now, he was extremely forthcoming. Like, as soon as I reached out, I just sent a text because I still had his number, and he was extremely forthcoming, immediately got onto the phone. And first and foremost, I should say, obviously, he's seeing all of these clips going viral, and he is fearful for his family. Doesn't have any security, and people are looking, and he said, look, as you can see in the footage, I was sitting right to the left or to the left of Charlie when Charlie got shot. And I instantly knew that he was not going to be okay. I instantly knew that he was dead. And I then, as you can see, people that are running, anybody that was in that zone, ran to the back, and he caught his breath. He wanted to check in with and communicate to other people that were working with and around Turning Point USA. That's why he's on his phone, communicating to them what had happened. That's what he told me. Then I asked, okay, well, what about this camera thing? Why would you grab the cameras? And he says, because the first thing that I thought is that I better secure the footage and be helpful and hand that footage over to the feds. Well, obviously, that's where things get into a pickle with me, because we don't trust the feds, right? I'm like, no, we don't trust the feds. So we don't got to do that. Just let me have the footage. I'm like, just send me the footage, please. Let me look at it. There's a lot of conspiracies that are floating around right now. People don't know what to believe. People are doing what I would say, credible videos. People that certainly have the credibility are ballistics experts that are saying that what we see in the front is an exit wound, not an entry wound. I don't know one way or the other because I'm not an expert. I'm getting inundated with messages from people that hunt, people that are in the military, saying that this had to have come from another direction. This footage could help. As if nothing else, let me help you. Let me formally debunk that by seeing this footage. Like, could you send this footage over to me? Well, he didn't want to send the footage over to me without checking with Turning Point lawyers. I said, look, technically, you own the footage. Like, you and some other people own the footage. Like, let me just see the footage, because why go through lawyers? Like, I just want to see the footage. And also I asked the question, why not just release it? We've already seen the worst thing that you could possibly see from the front, right? Like, the front is what is the traumatizing video. And I understand that he wants to afford his wife some protection. Like, this has, to experience that, Erica, so many people watching the love of your life in the last second of their life. It's traumatizing. I'm traumatized by it, right? That's not my husband and the father of my children.
And good. And I'm sorry.
Oh, boy.
So here's what I wanted the Culture Proof audience to hear.
Yes.
Okay. This man that she's talking about, who goes and takes down the camera, that she says she had a phone conversation with.
Mm-hmm.
Notice that she says, this man says, I was right off to Charlie Kirk's left. I saw him get shot. Like, I have to collect myself, have to regroup, reach out to Turning Point USA. Okay, what do we do? That kind of thing. But this is the same man that Candace Owens, by the way, because she's telling us that she had a conversation with him, but in a future episode, he will be the selfie guy, the guy who's recording himself saying, they shot Charlie, they killed Charlie. Like, but in that episode, she will plant these seeds of doubt in your mind. It's like, how did he know that Charlie was dead? Okay, but girl, a few episodes prior, you said he told you, I was right there. I saw the way he was shot. I knew he wouldn't make it. But either she forgets that she said that, or she doesn't care. Either way is very reckless. And again, here is the suggestion that is being made, okay? That this man is a part of the conspiracy. And again, how reckless is it to be promoting that and to be pushing that at the risk of not only his safety, but his family's safety. She can
Right.
say publicly he doesn't have any security. So now you're like saying he's a sitting duck. You're saying he doesn't have all of this. It is reckless
Yeah.
and people are consuming it and it's changing the way they think about people.
Yeah, and the thing also that sticks out to me is why does she feel like she has to have the footage?
Mm,
Like she is not an investigator, and maybe they're not going to give you the footage because there is an investigation going on
right,
of
right.
people who's going to. But she said why she don't want that because we don't trust the feds. Like we don't trust them. So it's basically give me the footage. Like
Yeah,
why?
because, clicks, because everybody's going to want to see never before seen footage. And you should give it to me because also I am a trustworthy source.
Right.
People believe me, except for the people who don't.
Right.
And except for
right.
the people who see this as a very self-interested, money-making posture.
Right.
Like that's what it appears to be. I mean, look, when and I want to be very careful, when Candace rebounded from her ouster
Mhm.
over at the Daily Wire,
Mhm.
it seemed that she was trying to get her bearings on.
Mhm.
And man, and everybody wants to be very generous with that. Like she's
Yeah.
trying to get her bearings on.
Yeah.
What kind of podcast is she going to be? There was, she kind of got into like Gossip Girl column type thing where she's talking about Taylor Swift and, Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively and all of that. And that was kind of like low ratings.
Mhm.
Like, honestly, people were just like, okay, we don't want to read Glamour or 17 magazine while listening to your podcast. So it's like, okay, it's not that, so then it's like bring back the multi-part series on Brigitte Macron. Okay, now that's a high dollar series. Okay,
Mhm.
that's a high dollar series. So we're gonna stay with that. Also, and I will even give her credit for this. I think the asking the questions and the looking into like the genealogy of even
Mhm.
Kamala Harris, I thought
Mhm.
I was fascinated by that.
Mhm.
But she's trying to figure out the type of podcaster that she's going to be. And she keeps repeatedly alluding to, I'm not political, except for when it's convenient. Like, that's fine.
Mhm.
You're trying to find your niche. But I will say this right now is sort of like the perfect combination for her. I've got 2.5 years of hands-on direct contact with Charlie Kirk that I can continue to go back to and convince people and remind people that this is personal for me, which I hope we have time because I want to get into the problem with her vendettas, right? And the biblical problem with her vendettas and what you can see actually coming from her. And you just juxtapose that to like, watching Erica Kirk sit down with Jesse Waters, like there's a difference. There's a difference there. So there you have the camera guy.
So the camera guy, was this the guy, Trevor, who later on he was
doing the selfie where he's like, they
yes,
killed
'cause
Charlie.
He went
Yes.
in on him
Yeah.
later on.
How do you know? How do you know before there's even been an announcement? How do you know that Charlie's dead? Like that wasn't even public knowledge. How do you know that? But she forgets that she previously said she talked to him and he said, I was sitting like feet away from Charlie Kirk and I saw the wound. I saw what happened to him. I knew he wouldn't survive that. But she doesn't bring that back up. It's like, man,
I think she feel like she don't have to. Like it's like on to the next one.
Well, yeah, because if you
I
don't
don't-
have to operate with integrity,
It's just I don't know if it's she forgot. I just think she kind of moves on.
that bothers me. Like, I mean, is that too much? Like, it really bothers me because I feel like what people have a right to is they have a right to integrity in the way we cover, especially substantive issues like this. Like, this is consequential. Like, this is not Blake Lively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like people have a right to a certain level of integrity when you're going to insert yourself into this space and speak on these issues. Okay, so we have the camera guy. So then the next suggestion that is made is about this Caldera Engineering valve company. So you have these valves that are being designed that are being used by the government. And again, and there's a common theme here. And I don't want to spend too much time on this because really I think it's like the bees, You know what I mean? It's like, but again, these things all become these episodes, like this sort of like, here's what I have for you today, guys. Like, but it's so immature. And what I'm hoping that people will do is be able to see through it. So here we go. We move on from the guy removing the camera and refusing to just give her the footage because she's Santa Claus. She can be trusted with it. And then it's the caldera valves, which again, you've got people feeding her information that she then like, okay, I'm just going to read this to you. So like, this was literally the episode talking about the caldera valves. Okay. And if you can, keep your eyes open for it, here we go.
Exclusively manufactured in Israel, and that they tend to be involved in this. The government and the military tend to be involved in this. And that even, by the way, on Caldera's website, they noted that they have worked in Israel. They have a map that they note every country that they have done engineering projects in. And one of them or two dots are in Israel. And somebody explained why the government gets involved when it comes to valves and piping. And I'm just going to read you this email because maybe there are people at home who are just as ignorant as I am about government level engineering. Okay.
Hold on a second. Let me just say, because that is true, because there are people at home who are just as ignorant as you are about government valves and engineering. Okay. Because that is true. You should contribute to the public things that you are well versed in. Not the things that you're like, I'm just dumb like y'all. And so this just came to me. So let's all because that is true. Like what you're saying is true. You should be careful to try to contribute to people the things that you feel like, you know what? I do have some thoughts about this. I have some insight about this. So let me contribute in that way. But like, again, it's like the lack of self-awareness in this is glaring to me because there are people who are just as ignorant as I am. Yeah. And you know what they don't do? They don't host podcasts. Like you're absolutely right. There are people who are just as ignorant as you are. And you know what they do? Like they take care of their little kids. Like they don't host podcasts. They're like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. They dry their hands on their aprons and they get back to life. But you are just like, here are people who are just as ignorant as I am. So let me read to you an email I got. I interrupted her. I'm sorry. Here we go, Candace.
This person wrote, "Hi, Candace. I wanted to share some detailed information regarding valves, piping, and their relevance to critical infrastructure and intelligence communities. Valves as critical infrastructure assets. Modern industrial valves are used in pipelines, water treatment plants, power plants, and chemical facilities are often automated and networked, forming part of operational technology and SCADA systems. This allows remote monitoring and control of the flow of gas, oil, water, and chemicals. Cybersecurity implications. These valves are part of systems that could be targeted for cyber attacks. Compromised valves can cause pipeline ruptures, water contamination, or industrial accidents.
Do we keep going?
Because of this, intelligence and regulatory agencies, the CISA, NSA, PHMSA, FERC.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I can't. Like, I'm sorry.
Is she lacking on content? Like,
I don't.
What is it like? Okay.
Here. But people are like eating this up with like a big cooking spoon.
Yeah.
Like just shoveling it into their hearts and minds and becoming increasingly suspicious of everyone and everything. Now, look, I will agree that there are just some things that surround Charlie Kirk's brutal assassination, like graphic. There are some things that just don't add up. But the people who are looking at the information, the people who are privy to the facts, it's amazing to me that they are showing so much more care than she is showing, which indicates to me a lack of direct knowledge.
Well, she would say it indicates that they're trying to hide something.
Of course, because that serves every episode. Of course.
Like, why aren't they saying this and that? But my thing is, again, if there's an investigation that's going on, like, I would think there would be some things that they would not want to say or not come out and to jeopardize. But if the thinking is, well, the people who are holding this investigation are corrupt and we can't believe them. And again, we said this yesterday. We know that there's been things in our government that's
Yes.
like, man, whoa, that
100%.
was bad, or that was a cover up, you know. But man, to get to a point where you're throwing so many different people under the bus pretty much on every episode, and just kind of like, oh well, like the guy from UVU, once again, the soccer guy, they had people on that post saying, man, you better lawyer up, she's gonna destroy your life.
Man, can
Like
you
she
believe
mentioned your name,
that?
that's it. It's like, my goodness,
There-
yeah.
Well, we're here. We made it. It's fall, and you need to have already been on your supplements.
Ooh.
Listen, we have a 5-year-old.
Yes.
That little runny nose wants to get us. Okay. But the best way to make ourselves impervious to the snot fest that is the winter, the fall, and the winter weather is to be fortified with our supplements from We Heart Nutrition. All of their supplements are third-party tested, so you can know that the potency you expect is there. Look, don't be duped by these supplements that look good on your counter, but they don't do anything in your body. You want the supplements that come from the company that is Christian owned and operated, so their standard is high because they're doing it as unto the Lord, right? Check them out today. That's weheartnutrition.com. When you use that promo code CULTUREPROOF, you will save 20%. You can get your women's multivitamin, your men's multivitamin. There's even a women's multivitamin for those who are 40 and over. Maybe you need prenatal supplements, or maybe you need some hormone balance.
I didn't see anything.
Okay, I'm just making sure. All of that and so much more is available at our friends We Heart Nutrition. And as always, we have to remind you that 10% of what goes into this company comes right back out to support crisis pregnancy care centers, so you can do the most for your body and little bodies that you may never meet. And that is such a sweet deal. Check them out. That's weheartnutrition.com. Use that promo code CULTUREPROOF and save 20% off your order today. You can't have a society that survives that. That's McCarthyism, a type of McCarthyism. It's Red Scare 1 and 2. You don't have a society that survives a literal game of Clue. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a board game. That's a board game that you play with children. There's been a murder that's been committed. It's like, this is real life. And I want to move through this though, because again, we have all of these clips and they're increasing. They're more, right? I'm upset. Let me just say, I'm upset about what she's doing to Frank Turek. She doesn't know Frank Turek. Like, she's not familiar with his body of work. You understand what I'm saying? And so from her uninformed, just as ignorant as I am, perch, okay? I'm putting that in quotes. She is accusing people. And why? Like, what's the thing? I just have a hunch. What? Like, I mean, literally we'll say my spidey senses are tingling and people are like, yeah, girl, that's enough. We need to go with that.
I mean, it's like, why are there so many military people? It's
Okay, well, let's get to that.
I thought military people were appreciated, and like, I thought that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Until you say that these people are a part of a psychological operation. And again, what has to be true for that claim to be accurate? What has to be true is that Charlie Kirk has to have been a bumbling idiot, except we know that isn't true. Except we watched him repeatedly contend for truth, battling in the marketplace for ideas with consistency and with sharpness and like mental acumen. And except now, as Candace remembers him, for the sake of her podcast, he was a little baby. He was a little baby surrounded by all of these vultures. They were vultures, you see, they were hired, all of them. And who hired? Tyler Boyer. Tyler Boyer hired the vultures. And they've been encircling him ever since. And by the way, who introduced Charlie Kirk to Erica? It's Tyler Boyer. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that is important. That's interesting.
Just asking questions.
Just asking questions.
Asking questions.
Guys, this is ridiculous. Like, it's got to get to a place where people say, come on now, haven't we? You got to stop. You got to stop. Find something else. Isn't there another leader of a free country that, like, you can find their genealogy for? Is there anyone else that you want to examine body parts of? Like, is there something else that you will move on to? I know that it won't be as lucrative as you call it, the Charlie Kirk story, which that's what people who feel this deeply refer to it as. I know it won't be as lucrative, but is there anything else that you could move on to? As we continue working through the Salem witch trials, the game of Clue, you find that she begins to increasingly sort of like plant these seeds of doubt about people who were close to Charlie Kirk, close to Charlie Kirk. And again, guys, this is evil. It is evil to take this man and then to rework, number one, the things that we saw publicly. So to even tell all of us, all the people who watched him engage, to say it wasn't really Charlie. It wasn't really Charlie didn't have discernment. Charlie wasn't sharp. He just didn't, he didn't have that street smarts about him. Like, so we have to dumb down what we think about Charlie to believe her narrative. And she's totally fine with that. Not even realizing that you are tarnishing a man's legacy while you're trying to seek justice for the man. Who does that? Who does that? But we're not supposed to notice that. We're supposed to be so like thirsty for the information that we just want some more, please. So here is Candace talking about Charlie Kirk being betrayed by people who were very close to him. And again, this is the hint of what is coming. This is what we're going to be focusing on. Now, not me, because I was close to him, but I remained in that category of loyalty.
Right.
But everybody else, you know, it was like the Truman Show. And again, I do have a timeline to bring in to just ask questions, you know, since we're just asking questions. Or my personal favorite of hers is that this is just interesting, isn't it? And so that's what you're doing. You're producing content that just interests people. It's just tantalizing enough that people are just like here for it.
Yeah.
So here we go. Charlie betrayed by people who are close to him. She's threading a needle here. And the question is why? Where does it ultimately go? Well, if you continue on, you'll see where it ultimately goes.
Because they view it as a charity. They're doing it because they want to purchase your voice. That's it. And I don't want to give mine up. But what these people are telling me is a very dark story that involves these donors, sponsors, influencers, a takeover of sorts that I think was happening right under Charlie's nose. And I want to say this formally as we keep investigating this. I believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by people who are close to him. Based on what I have seen thus far, the evidence, the quote unquote receipts that require a way deeper investigation into the apparatus, the financial apparatus at Turning Point, there was definitely some weird activity leading up to this moment happening at the organization. And I've been able to verify it. I have been given names, and I intend to now embark on this lengthier investigation, which I need more help on. I've reached out to some journalists, and I'm sharing the information with them. And I think we're going to discover that this was ugly, uglier than we could have ever imagined. Okay. There is a fear here that we are all perceiving, a desperation almost to end the investigation. The smears are becoming radical. You can't just pretend Candace hasn't spoken to Charlie Kirk in years, but they're doing it. And they're trying to be convincing and shocked and putting this out. I've never stopped talking to Charlie. I mean, yesterday I released just one of many messages that I have with Charlie, which prove that he was, in the months leading up to this, concerned about Israel and how Israel was coming after our free speech. Free speech meant a lot to him, right? This message is from May. We can pull that back up, right? Charlie sent me his tweet because after the assassination of Sarah Milgram and Yaron Lachinsky in DC, people were calling for like hate speech laws. And Charlie, authored a long tweet saying these were beautiful people. They had their lives ahead of them. But I must push back against one thing. And again, it was just the justification that this somehow meant that we had to, get rid of free speech. Like suddenly like, oh, well, this happened. So now we need to say free speech is wrong. And so I wrote back to him and I said, great tweet. And he gave prayer hands. And I said, speech censorship is coming to America. And he wrote back, as you can see, and the date here is May 22nd of this year. It totally is. Okay.
We got it. So here's the point. Here's
So
what's
that's like
important.
proof that it's still.
I'm friends with him.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Charlie Kirk did not deny that. You've played it many times. People have seen it where he's asked about this question about Candace Owens. And what I think it shows less about what Charlie Kirk was trying to hold up about Candace Owens and more about Charlie Kirk's personal convictions is that he's like, you don't tell me who to be friends with.
Right.
You don't get to tell me who to be friends with. It's like, I've worked with Candace. She's a great wife and mother and all of these things. And then she's got some interesting ideas, which I think is such a loyal way to say some things she says are weird and I can't get behind. But at the same time, let's understand that what we are seeing in like the video footage, and which, by the way, guys, can I just let me say this, and I I'd love to get your take on this, Will Great. When you have a person who centers themselves, like, so as Candace Owens does, right? All of this is about her. She is the lone person to be trusted. And then she's got to continue going back to give her receipts and to give, but in the midst of all of this, I was there with Charlie Kirk. I was there. But again, there was infiltration happening. But we are not allowed to think that you were a part of it in any way because Charlie Kirk pursued you. So who else did Charlie Kirk pursue that maybe you didn't like? That now, and again, and I want to be careful, right? Because I don't want to plant seeds in people's minds about Candace Owens, like, but I will tell you this, that since Candace Owens made her way on the scene from her YouTube videos where she's mocking the Democrat Party and all this, and thirsty conservatives started to see that. And which, by the way, let me just tell you, we had people approaching us during that time. Have you heard about Candace Owens? What do you guys think about doing something with Candace Owens? Like, who is she?
Right.
What do we know about her? Like, why are we so thirsty for like, what's fresh and new and hip? Like, who is the girl? Who is she? I don't know. Candace Owens. Like, but what? But let me just tell you, since she started doing those videos on YouTube that started to gain some traction among the thirsty conservatives, she hasn't been in one place for longer than 5 years.
Wow.
So Charlie Kirk scoops her up in 2017. She's there until, and let's just get into our timeline here. All right.
Timeline?
I have a timeline. All right. I have a timeline. Okay.
Okay.
So Candace Owens in 2017 goes to work for Turning Point USA. And she works for Turning Point USA from 2017 to 2019.
Okay.
At which point she announces that she's moving on. Now, look, she is not fired from Turning Point USA after 2 years of like hitting the pavement with Charlie Kirk. She is not fired. But here's what I think deserves a lot more attention than maybe Candace Owens is willing to give it. There is pressure put on the organization to distance itself from her. Now, why do I find that interesting? I find that interesting because if I'm about to, Angela Bassett this moment from like Waiting to Exhale, where she like sets that car on fire and walks away from it, like there's an anger in that. There is so if I want to set a torch to Turning Point USA, then my revenge must go back to that organization as an entity. And what I think is very important that nobody's really, talking about is that like there were TP USA chapters that were putting pressure on the parent organization and saying, man, this information that's coming out from her, what people are saying, like, this is bad. And so the pressure grew and grew and grew until Candace Owens made the decision to resign. So in the midst of all of that, while she's still at Turning Point USA, she co-founds Blexit.
Mm-hmm.
And so the thing is, I'm going to focus on that. She was contributing to Prager University. She was never like officially hired by Prager. She was contributing. She was producing content, doing things like that. But then again, how long does that last? Not long. I don't mean to sound like MLK. How long? Not long. But then you look up again and she's going to the Daily Wire. And then how long at the Daily Wire? Not long. It's like, and then what seems to happen, and man, like, guys, just look at it. What seems to happen is that in the wake of every place that she leaves, she now looks back on them with this vitriol and suspicion that, interestingly enough to me, it was always there, but she just didn't see it. She had this revelation after she left.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like this like revelation upon, like, reading it's just disingenuous.
Yeah, I agree. When you look back, when she looks back, it seems like there were people that may have, that in her mind, done her something, and now is a perfect time for just a little get back. Now she won't frame it that way, but we're just asking questions about these places. And it's also crazy to me because you mentioned about clicks and even money that's coming in, but I think even bigger than that, at the core of what she is always circling back to is the whole Jewish thing.
Absolutely.
It seems like that, and I don't know if that's because of her Ben Shapiro experience, being at the Daily Wire, and maybe I don't know, but at the same time, it seems like at the core, there's always talk of Zionism, and that seems like that's the anchor for all of this, because she believes that it was the Jews that killed, Charlie Kirk.
Well, now,
That's what
I mean, has she said that,
well,
or has she made a suggestion?
She's made a suggestion. Let me say,
in the game of Clue, it's different from an accusation.
She's made a suggestion, but it's a strong suggestion.
Yes, it is.
And it's almost like, in her mind, a historical suggestion that certain people always, because she's brought Sigmund Freud and this person.
Yeah, you're
all
right.
throughout. I mean,
you're right.
She's making these connections to say pretty much the bad stuff that happens in the world is because of Jewish people.
That's right. And that's undeniable.
And so I don't know. I think at the core of this, for her and for a couple others, it's like that's the problem. And I think it's going to always, in every episode, no matter who's pointed out, like she's going to point out the Frank Turek's and the Mikey McCoys, but at the end of the day, it's going to be this, and this is a problem. So
in this next clip, this is an interesting suggestion.
Okay. Suggestion
that she gives.
Yes.
That it is an attempt, that the assassination of Charlie Kirk is an attempt. It is a calculated attempt at free speech control. And what's interesting, to the point that you're making, is that she will connect this back to, you can't be anti-Israel. So even in the next sort of like, I don't know, co-conspirator in the assassination of Charlie Kirk is the federal government, but the federal government's specific attempt to curtail free speech, and namely the type of speech that would say anything negative against Israel.
Yeah.
Right. And so what we're supposed to just go on all of these journeys with her, where basically she's, it's a series of stringing together her journal thoughts on a podcast.
And the crazy part about the whole Israel thing, I don't think there are many people who are saying that they feel like they can't disagree with the Israeli government and some of the things, but it seems like it's a blanket thing that unless you are hostile against that, like in totality, then you're a Zionist, and it's a bad word. I just feel like, but when you ask people, they're like, no, I don't agree with everything that they do, and And it seemed like, but you can't just have that position. It has to be a little bit more. It's almost like how the woke people used to always say, you can't just be, against it. You got, what is it, anti-racist?
Yes, you can't be non-racist. You have
Right.
to be anti-racist,
Yeah.
which involved always activism.
Yeah. It's just kind
What
of
are you
that
gonna
same
do?
tone,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah. What are you going
What are
to
you
do?
going to do?
And so
Yeah.
that is the demand of Candace Owens and her ilk. The people who are like her in this space, it is a demand that you have. So you can't just be like, no, this is what I think about Israel. Like, unless you say it the way that they want you to say it. And also, like, that you're willing to be sympathetic to terrorists. Like, there's some,
Yeah.
it's like
It's some, yeah.
you are the problem. You
Right.
are the problem. But here we go. Again,
Mhm.
here's Candace. This is an attempt by the feds to control speech.
Mm.
And there's a specific speech that they're attempting to control. And as you just pointed out, Will the Great, it's Israel.
Pass speech laws, Bolshevik speech laws. They're going to arrest us for saying that we don't support Israel. Something that Charlie was passionately against. Okay. And we can show you next week clips of him hosting the debate about speech and Israel and whether or not everything was anti-Semitism. And he was very clear in his perception that this is going to increase anti-Semitism, trying to pass speech laws or labeling people anti-Semites for criticizing Bibi Netanyahu. It's all out there and they're lying to you. Am I wrong or am I cynical for believing that, yeah, the feds are obviously lying, and I would say at some level, in a very big way, were involved in the death of Charlie because they wanted this sort of radical way to push through laws? When something chaotic happens, we usually turn to the government. I mean, 9/11, what did we do? We gave them so much power, right? The Patriot Act. Do whatever, just keep me safe. It's like they see your emotion. They see this global emotion and they want you to just agree with them that the next step is more power for the government. And this time we're saying no. No, Pam Bondi. No, thank you. Genuinely, why are you in office? How can this administration pretend that they are the same administration that they were in 2016 that were fighting against this? The same administration that was going, oh, well, the George Floyd death, radical Dems, BLM, speech laws. It was wrong when the left did it. And it's wrong now that the right is doing it, which leads me to believe that we are fighting opposite sides of the same coin. It's us versus them.
And Candace is on the us side that should be trusted. And again, I want you guys, and man, all of these things, these are plausible arguments. They are plausible positions. The government, conspired with another foreign government to murder a man who started a movement in our country to restore love of country. And then as he grew in his knowledge of truth, he centered Jesus, right? And I don't want people to forget that. I don't want people to get past that, because Candace Owens is not going to focus a whole lot on the spiritual contention of Charlie Kirk, what he was contending for spiritually speaking, because she doesn't have that. She doesn't identify with that. That's not chief in her arsenal, right? Contending for the faith. Okay. But I want you to think, she's saying that our government conspired with another government to publicly execute a man because our government wants to control speech laws. So maybe that's true. Maybe it is a type of 9/11. Maybe it's a psychological attack. It's a type of psychological warfare. But I want you to understand that this is coming from someone who we're supposed to take as a serious investigator who just keeps bouncing around.
Yeah.
One other thing I want to say, again, because the point that I'm trying to make, or as we're talking about these things, that I think is that there's been so much inconsistency coming from Candace Owens that I think no one is supposed to notice. Like, no one's supposed to pay attention to, I said this thing one week and then the next week I'm saying something different, but just go with me as I'm stumbling through things. And it's sort of like, I'm trying to figure out the code, you know what I mean, to the combination, and I'm just listening for clicks. It's a double meaning there, but I'm listening for clicks, and wherever I hear the clicks, that's where I'm going to focus my attention there. Um, she said historically that she was relieved that Erica Kirk was in the role of CEO, which I almost feel like she had to, because she's, I don't think she wants to be seen as sort of like a jealous person, but I do believe she is. I believe that she is uh, vengeful, vindictive, given to jealousy and envy. I do believe that there's a battle there with hatred, and against personal things. Now she goes to great lengths to show when people attack her publicly, it's like, I want you to laugh with me over this. But I think that is a part of the presentation. It's like, see, I'm Teflon. That does not stick to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. So that you don't suspect that anything that she does is from a self-interested place. And I just haven't gotten to the place where I believe that. I haven't gotten to the place where I say, yeah, I'm 100% on board that this is not a self-interested move.
Yeah.
You see. She will say that she's glad that Erica Kirk is in the position of being at the helm.
Mm-hmm.
But then she'll follow up with, I don't think it was wise to put Erica Kirk in a grieving widow
Right.
in the position of CEO. So which one is it?
Yeah.
Because it can't be both. But people aren't supposed to ask questions about that.
And there's so many things like that she's done over a period of time. And I just don't know, maybe I'm missing something, but how people just kind of get around that, because it's everything is documented. Like, we have videos.
Yes.
So if you want to go back and see, you can see where it's like, you said this, but then came back and said that. But I think a lot of times we check out because, we like the tea.
Yes.
It's kind of
Yes.
appealing to know, oh, I have some more news for you.
Mhm.
It's like Turkish delights,
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yes. When there's a lot of information that's being thrown at people, you don't know how to process it.
Yeah.
You don't know how to keep it all in like a compartment where you understand what to do with this bit of information.
Right.
And I think Candace Owens is really good at, bombarding people with a lot of information that leads to an inability to keep things in their proper category or
Yeah.
keep things in their proper place. Here's Candace Owens saying that it's good, or that she's relieved that Erica Kirk is CEO. But again, I kind of feel like she has to say that.
Will be answered by the end of this investigation. And I also want to put it to you this way. So much more has come to light that I have not yet presented. I am working with other journalists, different aspects, asking them, hey, you look into this, I'm going to look into that. And the first thing that I think I should make abundantly clear is I am relieved that Erica Kirk is at the head of Turning Point USA. Because just like I alluded to last week, and which I will double down on now, I believe that people within that company betrayed Charlie. Okay? That's just what I believe right now. And I want to make sure that I have these facts entirely on my side before I tell you guys more. I will say, if you are a rat on a ship, you should probably flee now. I recommend it. Anyways, you guys, on
Let me look.
Wow.
I don't know. Look, that kind of stuff bothers me because those things all become like these threats
Mm-hmm.
that are like, I'm coming for you. Most recently, and again, man, we've there's so much to show people, right? She's talking about she's going to breathe fire on people. Like, what is that? Like, don't double cross me. Don't say anything in response because I'll do your genealogy. Like, I'll look you up. And I feel like, there's a I don't know, there's a willful sort of ignorance or a hubris maybe
Mm-hmm.
that keeps getting presented that I think people need to get tired of it. They need to get tired of it. And again, that is not to say that there can't be content that people appreciate, but
Right.
man, if she's getting up to the door of like making spiritual deposits in your life, you got to be sharper than that. You got to be, more steadfast than that. Again, I want to point this out too as we continue moving through these clips, she's going to talk about Israel feeling like it needs to come out and defend itself, that it's not responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. But I want you to listen very carefully, because Candace will deny that Israel needs to do that, adding to the suspicion. I'm not like, why would you come out and say that you didn't kill Charlie Kirk? Like, who's asking you to say that? Well, you are,
Okay.
you know? But again, people are not supposed to remember this from episode to episode. They're supposed to forget because of sheer volume of information. But we're not forgetting. We're logging it. We're paying attention, and we're watching the inconsistencies that really jeopardize any type of integrity that you could bring to wanting to know what happened to Charlie Kirk. There's a huge portion of the world that wants to know what exactly happened to Charlie Kirk. You're not special in that, but you've made yourself special. You put yourself in a special category. It's like, maybe you give a nod to Erica Kirk, but you're next. You're the one who cares the most. And that, that could be very suspicious to people.
Yeah.
Anyway, here we go. Why is Israel feeling like it needs to come out and defend itself? That's the question, which is meant to add to the suspicion. But notice she will deny any reason why they should feel like they need to defend themselves. Here we go.
BS. And the fact that people immediately thought that, and I wasn't the person who said this, but immediately thought that Israel was suspicious, really shows you that they have lost all goodwill with the American people. And that's, again, because of what they're doing, their actions in Gaza. So I would agree with you that they've lost a lot since losing Charlie, because he was kind of the last person who said, I am pro-Israel. And he actually was somebody who had a presence across all of these universities. And now, we'll see what happens with the direction that Turning Point takes. But I would say that the students are going to be very reticent to support Israel.
She wasn't the one that said that, so.
I mean, do you even do you even need to
No, because it's obvious, you did and I don't understand, and maybe it's because of what you said, that it's so much and it changes so much that people kind of they're just going along for the ride, but they're not kind of going back and saying she said she didn't say that, but she did right here. But most people are just kind of like, okay, on to the next one. Like, what's next? And not kind of going back and saying, but that's inconsistent.
It's like you said that BB was out here doing the absolute most.
Yeah.
You went old girl on this, which I didn't know they had a whole lot of old girl coming out of Connecticut, but you went old girl, he's out here doing the absolute most. You're doing too much is what you said about BB Netanyahu. And you then said, why is he acting like Charlie died for Israel? Like you're all of this stuff.
But that was episode 2 of this whole series. So it's, that was way back.
Bingo.
We on 23 now.
Right. Right. So why would you, how dare you remember that? How dare you remember that I planted that seed? But then we'll say in real time, and I'm not the one who said this, but that's a lie. But then we'll constantly say, but I'm not a liar. I don't lie. If I have to keep saying that I'm not a liar and that I don't lie and that I don't like liars, just at some point, I just start to get a little bit antsy about that. I'm like, if we hosted our podcast and every time we recorded an episode, we were like, now look, we don't lie. We don't lie. Or if in my marriage, I have to keep constantly saying, now, I love him. I love him. I love him. I'm not going anywhere. It's like, well, why do I have to keep publicly saying that?
Yeah.
There's just something that does not add up, that is disconcerting. And I think people need to be smart enough to ask questions. I know we're going way over time. But I blame you.
Blame me. I talk too much.
Well, I mean, there is that. There is that. But also a lot of the content that you show me. That you're like, hey, have you seen this? Have you seen this? And so I'm like, oh, I hadn't seen that. I didn't catch that, because I do have family and children. So
Yeah.
like, so
Me
as
too.
the producer, well, no, you do, but like, I think your job is a little bit different as a
It is.
producer.
It
As a
is.
producer,
You
you're
know.
looking at the stuff and you're like, hey, you need to see this, you need to see that. So,
Yes.
so if we go over and people dip out, that's fine. Blame Will the Great
Well, what does
because
go
of
over in
presenting.
podcast land?
Okay, I don't know because you don't. Well,
On
you
the
need to
radio,
go over in radio.
in radio land, you couldn't go over.
That's true. They will cut you off.
Yeah, that's it.
Your hour is over. Okay, so let's move on though, because you have Candace Owens, who again is going to say that she has a gut feeling that this assassination is a military operation. That's very important because of the connection she's going to make later, and I'm going to show you what she's doing. Again, threading a needle. My gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just listen to her in her own words, and then I'm going to show you why that's important, because then later you'll be taken on a journey where you see why you should be suspicious of these people.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
My gut instinct is that this was a military operation. Based off everything that I've seen and the lingering questions that I have and some other leads that we are working on, that's how I feel. And even when I was trying to find Miss Mike Mitchell, I could find the Mitchell family. I don't know if it's his family, but the Mitchell name in that area was coming up for like Air Force. And so again, when I get into these places where I can't find any more information, I turn to you guys to help me out. But I find it very strange that you would protect somebody who's been on the force for 24 years. Like what? You've always been a public figure, essentially.
So now that's important, okay? Because I'm setting this up for you.
Well, she said she don't even know if it's the right family.
No.
But Mitchell came up in the Air Force. It's like I'm just pulling some things out of the air. Like, man, how is that like investigation?
It's not
and journalism or whatever she's trying to say. Like, and then I'll get you guys when I can't get any more. I ask you guys to help me. It's like
she's like
who does that?
Man, it's like Candy Grace. Like it's like remember Nancy Grace. It's like and then that, you know. Man, I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know. I feel like we should expect more of people who influence, like in our culture. Like we should have a high bar for people who ask us to let them influence us. Like and this is something that we try to teach our kids. It's like, man, the culture is influencing you whether you realize it or not. You need to make, set a high bar for who you allow to be in your ear and set before your eyes, because these people are shaping you in ways that you don't realize at the time, but it's happening. I teach a biblical worldview class for our kids and some other teenagers who are a part of our local fellowship. And I was talking to them about how you are slowly being changed by your culture and by your environment. And you think that these things are subtle. You think that they're inconsequential, but these things matter. These things are important. And one of the points that I made to them was that a constant drip of water can reshape concrete. And so don't think that because something may be small or just a little bit here, a little bit there, when those things are constant, they change.
Yeah.
And they can be very soft things in their appearance, but over time in the same place, they will change something that you never would have imagined could be changed by it.
Wow.
And I feel like that is the warning. So before we get too far away from these clips so that people can hear them close together, she has a gut instinct, a gut feeling that this is a military operation. Now, why is that important? Because she's about to do a timeline where, or maybe not a timeline, but a graph, something, okay, where all of the people who are involved with Turning Point USA are military. Okay. So I already told you in my gut, this is a military operation. And isn't it strange that all of these people involved with TPUSA, they're military? Now, again, you are too smart to just run with that, aren't you?
Right.
All right, here we go.
Because you really start to recognize certain patterns when you look into who people's fathers are, who their grandfathers were, who their great-grandfathers were. And the one thing that has shocked me about Charlie and Turning Point USA is just how many military characters were surrounding him. Even in September 10th, people that were in the hospital, right? Let's just, take a look at the chart that we have put together. And this is in an early phase, but it's interesting at the very least, okay? We've got Frank Turek. And Frank Turek, if we want to go through this, we got Andrew Colvett, Rob McCoy, Mikey McCoy, Tyler Boyer. Let's start with Frank Turek, if we have that card. And Frank Turek, again, has been honest, former officer in the U.S. Navy. And then he turned to Christian apologetics.
Hold on. The emphasis on the words are misleading. And I think that's intentional. Like, it's to make something that it isn't, right? He turned to Christian apologetics. He found a shill after he left the military. Christian apologetics. Man, it's like in those moments, I want to stop and say, oh, I'm sorry, what's Christian apologetics? What is that? Have you read his body of work? Like, do you understand his having been mentored by the late Norm Geisler, a leader in Christian apologetics? Do you know some of the books that he's co-authored with Norm Geisler? He became a student of apologetics before teaching it academically, which she, will later mock him. Oh, he's going into the academic. No, he is an academic. That's who Frank Turek is.
Yeah.
But you don't know that because, ignorant. But people who also don't know that will be like, who's this guy? What's he doing?
Right. Oh, that's the guy that had that ball cap on.
Oh, he was giving the gang signs. Wasn't he he was giving calling for the kill switch. But this is the type of suspicion that is created in our culture. Who's Frank Turek? Oh, he turned to Christian apologetics. This is ridiculous, guys. It's ridiculous and it's reckless.
Yeah.
And it's endangering people's lives. And you don't know his body of work. You don't know his Christian footprint. You don't know his integrity. It's convenient that you don't know that Charlie Kirk reached out to him so that he could be well-versed in Christian apologetics. He was not a Tyler Boyer hire. So that didn't fit. But what does fit is that, he's former military and then he turned to Christian apologetics. Girl, what's Christian apologetics? Just tell us. You don't know. And there's so much that you don't know, but because you talk a good game, people are believing it. I'm sorry. Here I am. This is upsetting to me.
Yeah.
All right. I want to tell. Okay. I love my husband. I love him. I'm not leaving him. I'm not going anywhere. I just want people to understand. I love my husband. I'm not lying. I don't lie. Why would I lie? I'm not lying. All right, here we go. Back to her military investigation and all the people who are involved with Turning Point USA who are associated with the military. All right, because it gets better. So let her finish.
2 sons that are in the military, fly planes, as well as one of his son's spouses that's in the military. Again, he's never lied about this. Andrew Colvett, by the way, if you don't know, I didn't know. I don't think Charlie knew. Certainly not when Tyler brought him or when he got hired. His brother, Captain Kurt Colvett, is in the military. His cousin, Captain Robert Colvett, is high up in the military. So that's interesting.
Not anymore.
Very interesting to me, at least, because I just am like, oh, that's kind of something I was not aware of. I thought he was just a PR guy, someone that was working PR and was found and things, went forward. Obviously, Rob McCoy, another pastor, but a pastor with a very strong military background. Pastor Rob McCoy, his father was a naval captain, Roy Edgar McCoy, but also, and this is kind of shocking, his father was also the assistant chief of staff for psychological warfare in the Navy. Psychological warfare. This is the name of the game.
Wow.
And that trajectory is increasingly interesting to me. I think we have this clip from an investigative journalist named George Webb, who speaks a little bit further about Rob. And obviously, this is Mikey McCoy's family. Take a listen.
McCoy does have this strange military background. He does have this strange, seemingly putting his son in there and guiding the hand for this new apostolic revival. That he is a NAR person. He is the NAR push for Charlie. Charlie was meeting with NAR. NAR were the $25 million and above donors from the Christian right. The Ziklag was the name of the organization. So all that's correct. That's correct information. And
what happened in my life after that was I went from PragerU, and you got a pastor, from the military, 2 pastors from the military there. I'm telling you, Marissa, straight military. I then went to, obviously, the Daily Wire, and the president at the time of the Daily Wire was also a naval intelligence officer who decided to become a pastor. That was John Lewis. And I'm like, actually, in retrospect, what are the chances that we just have so many military people?
It's
That could be a
it's
high chance. A lot of
yeah.
people in the military. I
It
mean,
used
my
to be.
dad was in the military.
Whoa,
Does that make
whoa, hold up.
I have
Stop,
a
please.
few uncles.
Don't.
I mean,
Don't.
you know,
Don't.
cousins.
Oh, boy, that's it. That's it.
You know,
That's it.
we esteem military
Now
people.
for sure, the Addisons are a part of Mossad. Like,
Oh,
thank you for that, Will the Great. I didn't want to reveal that. I didn't want to reveal that
I
you had
mean,
family in the military.
yeah.
I didn't want to reveal that, we have government issued clothing that your
my-
dad once owned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't want to reveal that because now you are responsible for the death of a great American
Oh,
because of
come on.
former military ties. Not that you were in the military, but members of your family. I just find that very interesting. So I am calling on you, Will, come forward and tell us, where were you on September 10th? Like, where were you? What did you do? What did you do? By the way, NAR is New Apostolic Reformation.
Mhm.
All right. So just nobody says NAR. All right. Like whatever it is that they're calling it. And it has been refuted by many people many
Yes.
times to say, no, we don't stand with them. We don't agree. This is, but because ignorance, you just consume a bunch of content and you can just, So anyway, that's what it is. It's New Apostolic Reformation. People can look that up, see where the problems are in that particular movement that I think kind of like started to like kind of swell, but then like constrict because it didn't have enough oxygen. People were like, no, what is that? We don't believe that, Here, I know, man, there's so much more. And again, I told you, as often as my husband continues to bring this content, because every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. What we desire for the body of Christ is to be discerning.
Yeah.
And that does not mean, look, that doesn't mean that we are sitting back and just going, we believe everything that's being told to us.
Right.
But as we challenge what is being told to us, there's a certain amount of integrity that we operate in. And I want to tell you something that I observe from Candace Owens, both in her own words, but also in her demeanor. There is a bitterness and a vitriol that is in her heart. And I know we have to be very careful because the Lord knows the heart, right? Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart, and the word of God discerns the heart and the intentions of the heart, and man can't do that.
Right.
And so I want to be very careful. I don't want to speak with certainty, but I will tell you there's certain things that are presented in people that you can look at them and you can say, man, there's a darkness there. And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about like, what is it about Candace's method that feels off? What is it about her assertions that just feel off? And the thing that came to my mind repeatedly is that, man, she is vengeful. So if somebody challenges her, if somebody says, no, I disagree, and she feels that it is a personal attack, and I don't mean a public personal attack, I mean an attack that directly affects her personally. So it would have been in the TPUSA chapters calling for her ouster, putting pressure on Charlie Kirk. And she saw it as like the people trying to stand against the universe's design for her and Charlie to be linked up. And then Kanye, y'all, all of that. So she saw that as a personal attack. Yes, she stepped down, but it wasn't because of lack of pressure to step down. Right. Then with PragerU, it's like these personal, it's like, oh, so then Israel was there. It's like, okay, but like, I mean, Dennis Prager is Jewish. Like, so like, I don't know why you're acting like that was like a shock. You got there and then you pull back the curtain and there was the great and powerful Oz. Like, I don't understand that. And then you go to the Daily Wire and like, it's again, like you didn't know Ben Shapiro. Like, I just don't understand. But again, these moves have had some sort of personal effect on Candace Owens.
Yeah.
And there is a vitriol. I'm going to show this in a future episode There is a vitriol that's coming. There is an anger. It's not a righteous indignation. It's not a call for justice. Because, by the way, let me paint a picture of a distinction that I think is important. And I know we've gone long, but man, I hope that people make it to this point with us. It is righteous for us to desire justice and even to be agents of the Lord who seek justice, right? We are called to do justice, to love mercy, to walk humbly with our God. But God says that vengeance is his.
Yeah.
And that he'll repay.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like 2 times in scripture where the Lord tells Israel to get vengeance, right? On a specific people group to avenge, okay? But everything else that we see in scripture is we see biblical parameters for justice. In fact, the justice it doesn't come from ourselves. Like when we are seeking justice, we are seeking what is in line with the character and the nature of God. So we wouldn't know justice apart from knowing God. Vengeance is different. It has a personal element to it. And God says that is his. It's reserved for him. So that is to say, there's been a personal offense, right? Which is why we teach our kids that, yes, when you sin against a person, you have sinned against that person, but it is a sin against that person because it's first a sin against God.
Yeah.
So there's a personal element involved in vengeance and seeking it. Okay. The Lord will avenge his name. The Lord will avenge his holiness. Those who are in rebellion against God, those who mock God, God will avenge his name, his character, all of this. But we are not called to seek that. We are called to do justice. The difference that people feel, if you look for a second and observe what's happening with Candace Owens, is that you don't feel a call for justice. You see, she wants revenge.
Yeah. Yeah.
She wants vengeance. And there's a personal component to that she's masquerading as a relationship, a friendship with Charlie Kirk, but it's really not. It's for people who have hurt me, and this is an opportunity. And I'm going to tell you right now, I put Turning Point USA in that category. Turning Point USA is in the category historically of people who hurt her. And that's why she feels no hesitation in coming after them. And I don't care how much you say you love and respect and value Erica Kirk. If you are willing to tear down an organization that her husband built and now she's at the helm of, you don't love, care, and value Erica Kirk. You don't. You can't have both of those things be true at the same time.
Yeah.
I want people to be wise to that. I hope you're thinking about your summer vacation 2026. We want to invite you and all of your family to join us for the Culture Proof Conference 2026. It's happening at the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter. 3 days, 10 speakers, incredible content for children ages 4 to 18 and adults ages, well, you know how old you are. We're not going to talk about it.
It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. I'm looking forward to it. It's like a family reunion. The field there is so awesome. You know, like-minded individuals. We have some great speakers. We have Dr. Renton Rathman. We have Dr. Kathy Cook. We have Amy Warren.
Yes.
We have Ken Ham. We have Brian Osborne, Miki Addison, Abraham Hamilton III, and so many more.
Yes. You don't want to miss this. Living Epistles is our theme in 2026, where we get really practical about what it means to live as a believer. You can be surrounded by people, and sometimes you're like, oh my goodness, am I doing too much, you know? But what we're going to do is align our thinking with the Word of God, with speakers who are going to challenge and encourage you. We've got breakout sessions for kids 4 to 12 and kids 13 to 17. And then also breakout sessions for women and men, where we are going to specifically address issues that are challenging us as we desire to live for God's glory. You don't want to miss it. You can learn all you need to know by going to cultureproof.net. That is cultureproof.net. All right. I know I've
No, that was good. Great
gone on
point.
quite a bit.
No, that was a great point. And it's true. You gotta when you look at it that way, I mean, that's what it seems like. And that she has been hurt by various, entities. And now is a time that she can kind of fire back.
Yeah.
And that's sad to say, especially, like you said, she's calling herself a Christian and it's, but man, it seems evident that there's some pent up anger, you know, and now that she has her own platform, she can do whatever she wants to do, and you know, she's fully funded and all this kind of stuff. Now she can kind of just go off and kind of just be and do what she feels like. And that's what it looks like. Whatever I feel, you know, I want to jump around,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I want to change stories. I
Mm-hmm.
want to, you know, say this here and then come back and say this. I'm totally fine to do that because I can do what I want. That's what it seems like.
And no one can stop me.
No one can stop.
No one can stop me. When we resist the cultural trends that rival the truth, capital T, rival the truth, we remain culture proof. Until next time, Lord willing.
God bless.
Hey, if you like this video and value the content, then go ahead and like the video. You can subscribe to our channel if you want to do that as well. Feel free to comment. We try to read all of your comments and we try to respond to most of them. Of course, if there are too many, then it's hard for us to get to them. But we value interacting with you. So thank you so much for being a part of the Culture Proof community.
Also, click that notification bell. That bell will let you know when a new episode drops.